On the broadcast tonight, security measures are amped up in the U.S.'s response to the first case of Ebola in Texas. And the battle against ISIS in a border town between Turkey and Syria tests President Obama's global coalition. And midterm elections are less than a month away. We're taking a look at the race for the Senate. Talking Point starts right now. Hello and welcome to another edition of Talking Points. I'm Nick Cardona. The rapid spread of Ebola in West Africa is raising concern right here in the U.S. Is the U.S. response good enough? That is our top story tonight. Joining me now is Talking Points correspondent John Tomino, who has been following this issue for the past couple of weeks. John, good to have you here.
Thank you.
So I want to get your reaction to the first case of Ebola in the United States. Thomas Eric Duncan, he has died. What's your reaction to that?
Well, it was big news when he did die, and if you looked at a lot of reactions just from people, around here, it was very shocking almost. A lot of people may have thought that because a lot of American doctors that had come back with the disease and were being treated in hospitals in Atlanta and in Nebraska were showing better signs, that to see somebody die in this first diagnosed case was enough to spread a little fear. Now, a lot of condolences were shed. Again, reinforcing promises made by health officials saying we will stop this. But Ebola is as much a disease that's going to cause fear in somebody's mind as it will cause ailment in somebody's body. So the big thing is just the fact that this death is really causing a lot of people to be on edge right now.
So, a lot of polls have come out about how the U.S. is prepared to handle this disease. Is the U.S. prepared to handle people coming out? There's only been one case so far of a person dying, but there have been about 10 people infected in the United States who have a threat of being infected. Is the U.S. prepared to handle this?
All signs point to the United States healthcare system being able to do it. The CDC director, Tom Frieden, has been on multiple news outlets saying that we've got this, don't worry. And it would seem, if you take his word at face value, that they are ready to handle this. It's worth noting that, of course, Thomas Eric Duncan did go to the hospital and was misdiagnosed. Doctors, while he did show signs of Ebola, let him go back home over the weekend where his symptoms worsened. Had he have been taken care of the week before he was diagnosed, things may have been different, obviously. So all signs point to U.S. hospitals being equipped to take care of this.
So politically, a lot of people on different networks have been talking about how President Obama has responded to this disease and how he's handling whether or not he's going to close the airports or not, whether or not he's going to stop travel from West African countries into the United States. What are some political heads talking about here? And is this a good thing to do before the elections, or is it kind of is it going to backfire on a lot of these guys?
Well, I think it's a controversial issue that people want to see President Obama address for health concerns. One thing the White House did announce is that 5 airports in the U.S. are going to have new Ebola testing, new tests administered to some people that are coming from West Africa. Those airports: JFK, Newark, Hartsfield in Atlanta, O'Hare in Chicago, and Dulles in Washington. They handle 94% of the influx of travel from Western African countries like Sierra Leone and Liberia. So I think that is a good measure to take. Obviously, people will feel safer coming off flights. We've had some things you see on the internet where someone sneezes on a flight and then makes a joke they just came from Africa. People are actually scared, and a measure like this is going to make them feel better being on an airplane, certainly.
Now, bringing it back to this community, there is a big Liberian community in this area. You did a reporter a package on this. What's your takeaway from that?
Well, I was able to talk to people here, and I talked to one health expert here at the university who said that it's definitely not something that people should worry about. The healthcare system will take care of it. That Syracuse, for all intents and purposes, may have a case at some point, knowing that there's people that come to visit Liberians here in the community, but that it would just be an airport case that would result in a quarantine, result in treatment, and would finish it off. And I did speak to the member of who's the board of directors. He's the director of the Liberian community of Syracuse, who says that while the community here is on edge, and people back home have relatives in Liberia who are suffering because of the state of chaos there, that they would know if there was a visitor coming and would take proper measures to alert authorities and health officials and make sure that it was taken care of.
All right, John Tomino, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, the key battle against ISIS in a Syrian border town. ISIS is pushing back hard. Now President Obama's global coalition is responding. We'll be right back.
Elmira, New York. A boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Now it's time for This Week in Bad Stats.
Bad stats?
Horrible stats. Here goes. 132.
That's how many batters struck out 4 times in one game last season.
Wow, very good. Here's a tough one, though. 3 and 4.
No idea.
That's how many kids witness bullying. 3 out of 4.
That's not a good stat.
No, it's not, but it can change. Kids want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov and give them the tools they need to help prevent bullying.
There are plenty of safe ways kids can help at stopbullying.gov.
Welcome back. Joining us now with the latest on the international battle against ISIS is Talking Points' correspondent, Claire Moran, who has been monitoring the issue for the last couple of weeks. Claire, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
So I want to talk about the latest, that you've been reporting on. What's going on with the coalition? What's the United States doing right now?
Well, there's 2 big things right now. The first thing is Joe Biden just had to make an apology the other day regarding some comments he made about some of our allies in the Arab countries that were, he said that they have been inadvertently helping ISIS, and at the time they weren't our allies, but now they are, so we kind of had to go back and apologize for that. And then the other thing is right now ISIS is poised to take the city of Kobani, which is a border city with Turkey, and it would be really bad because then they would have a stretch of 60 miles from their capital to the Turkey border. And actually, Pentagon officials are saying that the airstrikes that we are doing is not going to be enough to stop them. We actually have a soundbite of that, so let's take a look.
That they have had an effect on ISIL in and around that town. ISIL does not own Kobani right now. Airstrikes alone are not going to do this, not going to fix this, not going to save the town of Kobani.
So, Claire, I want to talk about, get your reaction from that side and kind of the implication for Turkey in this battle. What's going on with that?
Well, Turkey is kind of in a tough place because they're right on their border, but they're also having a problem because the main fighters that are fighting ISIS right now are Kurdish fighters. And Turkey obviously has their own issues with their Kurdish population. So they're struggling with that a little bit. But they don't know where they're going to go with that. And the U.S. saying that airstrikes is not going to be enough is important because that might mean that we need to do more things in the future as this battle continues.
So what about, I want to obviously tie this back to Decision 2014 and as well as the presidential election in 2016. What are some of the major, Republican leaders and Democratic leaders saying this? Are they responding well to what the president is doing, or are they responding kind of negatively towards his policies?
Mostly negatively. A lot of Republican candidates obviously are jumping on this as a way to criticize President Obama and criticize other Democratic candidates. A lot are running ads focusing on Democratic candidates being soft on terror. For example, here in central New York, John Katko did one. And this was a strategy that was found to be successful in the 2002 election, right after 9/11, excuse me. So they're definitely using this as a campaign strategy, and Democrats are trying to distance themselves from President Obama's strategy because he's low in public opinion polls right now.
What about the future? What is this? What does the future hold for this coalition that President Obama is trying to put together? In our last 30 seconds that we have here.
The coalition moving forward, President Obama is just going to keep trying to bring in more countries and get as much help as he can, because the more help he can takes pressure off the United States.
All right. Well, Claire, thank you so much. You'll be following this all week. All right. Thank you. Up next, Alex Amico is here to break down Decision 2014. Stay with us.
You realize that 49 million Americans struggle with hunger? That's 1 out of every 6 Americans. These people are around us every day. They're our friends, they're our coworkers, their kids go to school with our kids. Sometimes we're not even aware that they're struggling. This problem is closer than you think. So is the solution.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
We are different. Society should aspire to be more like us.
Be part of the first class. Get energized. Get outside.
Hold on, guys. It's gonna get bumpy.
And get moving. Experience the power of physical activity. Woo! Join the movement at ActionHeroAlliance.com.
Welcome back to Talking Points. Campaigning for the midterm elections is heating up as November approaches. We're going to take a look at that race for the Senate today. Joining me now is, for analysis, is Talking Points political correspondent Alex Amico. Thanks for being here, Alex, again.
Thank you.
So let's jump right into the Senate. What are some races that you're really paying attention to?
So right now, Republicans are in a pretty strong position to take the Senate. As we said before, they have basically 3 former Democratic seats in their pocket. They need to pick up three Democratic seats. They need to flip 3 seats. And they also need to hold all of their seats. So right now they're maintaining a slight but consistent lead in 2 races. Arkansas and Louisiana are both trending toward the Republicans. They're also maintaining a lead in Alaska, but there has been issue with polling there in the past. But they do have a lead in Alaska, and they've started to pull away in the past few weeks. Iowa's still a toss-up. Colorado and North Carolina are both leading Democratic. And the 2 states that they need to watch out for while they're holding are Kansas and Georgia. Georgia, obviously, Democrats are going all in with Michelle Nunn to try to win that open seat, and Kansas is 3-term Senator Pat Roberts against independent Greg Orman. So there are basically 3 scenarios that we're looking at right now. So scenario 1 would be if the Republicans win Arkansas, Alaska, and Louisiana and hold Kansas and Georgia, then that's just a Republican Senate, just simple as that. If they win Arkansas, if they win Alaska and Louisiana, but lose Kansas, that's a really interesting situation. Greg Orman, the independent from Kansas, has not yet said who he would caucus with if he were to win. He has run as a Democrat in the past, and if he were to caucus with the Democrats, then that would lead to a 50-50 tie, and Vice President Joe Biden would be the deciding vote. Now, just as Democrats can put some breathing room as far as holding the Senate by winning Georgia, Republicans can put some breathing room in taking the Senate by flipping Iowa. Like as you can see here, if they win Arkansas, Alaska, Louisiana, and Iowa, they can lose Kansas and still take the Senate. So they're in a very strong position right now to take the Senate, but anything can happen this last month before election
In
day.
the little time that we have left, I want to talk about that Kentucky race, Mitch McConnell, Allison Leonard Grimes. The margin of error is about 4 percentage points, but now Grimes is up by 2 percentage points in those polls. So is that not, does it just mean that they're effectively tied?
It's difficult to say, really. A lot of polling experts would probably say that this might be an outlier, as this is the first poll that Grimes has led in since early summer, basically. It's going to be an interesting race to follow, but I think it's probably safe to say McConnell keeps his seat.
All right. Well, Alex Amico, thank you so much. All right. So finally tonight, 2 numbers have jumped out at me this week: 3,742 and 1. 3,742 patients have died of Ebola in Africa. 1 U.S. citizen infected with the Ebola virus has died. For many people in this country, that 1 U.S. death usurps the significance of more than 3,500 deaths in Africa. One idea proposed by many of the media outlets, such as Fox News, is to suspend travel to and from West African countries to prevent the spread of Ebola. The immaturity of this line of argument betrays its true intent, because merely closing the border would not prevent people from using a third-party country to go to and from. The reason they propose this argument is not because they think it will work, but it's because it's the policy they want to enforce. It validates the Ebola threat as the epitome of fear that they want it to be, because their goal is to prove to you that you should be afraid, and as a conclusion, your president will not adequately protect you from it. The idea of closing our borders to prevent a disease that has affected less than 10 people in this country is not a solution to the Ebola problem, but for conservatives, a solution to a different problem. It appears Fox News has finally found a way to close our borders and keep our freedom in and immigrant-affected Ebola out, and not the other way around. Coverage of these types of events show the people the true colors of some networks, and the fact that a network has to go to the depths of coverage to find a way to attack the president in his handling of an unknown disease proves to the American people just how desperate some people are to get attention. That is tonight's op-ed, and that is our broadcast for this week. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm Nick Cardona. We hope to see you right back here next week for an all-new edition of Talking Points. Make sure you visit our Facebook page for all things political. From all of us here at Citrus TV News, have a good night.